Advantage Liverpool as they defeat Benfica 3-1 in Lisbon at the Estadio Da Luz in the Champions League quarter-final first leg. You're watching the Debrief live on the Blood Red channel, courtesy of the Liverpool Echo, and thanks to goals from Ibrahima Konate, Sadio Mane and Luis Diaz, the Reds have the advantage. My name is Patrick Smith, and I'm pleased to be joined once again by Matt Addison to react to a true cliche of a match. Well, Matt, it certainly was that classic tale of two halves, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really, really good performance from Liverpool first half. They should have been further ahead, really, than what they were. I thought they had 2 or 3 chances, really, to extend that lead. And you kind of just expect them to be able to do that in the second half. I mean, obviously, Benfica come into it as well in terms of their quality, the crowd behind them. I'm sure it was, a difficult atmosphere for Liverpool to play in. But yeah, there's no getting away from it. They're going to have to play better than that against Manchester City at the weekend. You can't afford to have a kind of 10 or 15 minute spell really at the start of that second half. I mean, they've kind of got away with it to an extent in terms of Luis Diaz's goal at the end, kind of giving them that 2-goal advantage again, which I think could be potentially crucial. But yeah, it should have been more than that really. The first half, they could have easily been 3 or 4 up and then you can kind of cruise. But yeah, whether it was kind of one eye on City at the weekend, trying to kind of reserve a bit of energy for that, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it was almost a frustrating one. But I think Luis Diaz at the end there has just given Liverpool that bit of extra breathing space that they would have wanted to come away from tonight. I mean, I know Jurgen Klopp at the start was very, very keen to stress that he didn't think it was possible that Liverpool could have, killed the tie in the first sort of half of it in terms of being 3-4 up tonight. But I'm sure, certainly by half time, his mind would have crossed to that because it was very much a possibility. So, yeah, it's a very good result and a very good performance, obviously, to win 3-1 away from home in a Champions League quarter-final. You've got to be happy with that. But there is a little bit of me that was thinking for the majority of that second half, and still, to be honest, at this moment, still thinking it a little bit that it was a slight missed opportunity. But Liverpool have got one foot in the semis, and hopefully no injuries. Obviously, that little knock to Fabinho at the end, but generally speaking, a pretty positive performance.
I mean, that is the thing we've got to remember. It is a Champions League quarter-final. A 3-1 win away from home is nothing to complain about, really, is it? And I would like to think that perhaps there was an eye on City. But it's been a trend this season, Matt, hasn't it, with Liverpool, particularly in the Champions League, that we've started really well and then come out in the second half a little bit off the pace, haven't we? But I'm going to bring it back to the first half, and what a start it was, though. And I'm going to start as well with Ibrahima Konate, because I thought it was an unbelievable performance from him.
Yeah, he was excellent, actually, apart from the Darwin Nunez goal. I think apart from that, didn't really put a foot wrong. I thought he was exceptional at the back. And you expect that, I think, in the big games from him. We've seen him in other big games this season just come in out of nowhere, really. Obviously, it's been an international break. He didn't play at the weekend, so he's been thrown into it for Liverpool, but certainly didn't look like that was the case. Very front foot, very fast. We know he's got that. And just kind of shoulder barging and shoving people out of the way. And just
he thrives in Europe, doesn't he?
Yeah, a real sort of dominant performance from him, which is really, really good to see. And yeah, it's a real shame, actually, that he makes the mistake for the goal, because I think apart from that, if he didn't do that, we'd be sat here absolutely praising him and throwing everything his way, which, first half, if you take the first half as just a 45 minutes in isolation, I don't think you're going to see many better centre-back performances than that, really. So, yeah, it was a really good performance, really positive signs. It's just a shame they couldn't keep that clean sheet. I think it's important to say as well that Darwin Nunez and 1 or 2 others from Benfica, I think are really, really top players, really quick, really tricky, but he's just got everything, hasn't he, Konate? I think he's quick, he's strong, he's good on the ball, he's very, very front-footed. There was once or twice where he kind of dived in a little bit and got away with it. I think possibly Virgil van Dijk might have just sort of taken a step back and been a bit more relaxed about it. And, you are going to get that. He's only 22. He's playing in such an intense atmosphere. I think that's only natural. But yeah, he's got absolutely everything, hasn't he, to be a top-class centre-back. He probably already is a top-class centre-back, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, it was a really good performance. Like I say, it's just a shame he made that mistake because apart from that, pretty much perfect.
I mean, to be fair, with Everton, Rafa and Nunez, they are a very dangerous front three. And when they weren't throwing themselves to the floor after every challenge, they were a real threat, weren't they? But the Reds did get their second, Matt, and what an unbelievable goal that was. The ball over from Trent, the unselfishness from Diaz against his former rival club. It was just a perfect goal for the second, wasn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought Trent Alexander-Arnold was absolutely superb again. Coming off the back of an injury, hasn't played to be thrown back in. I wasn't quite sure whether he was going to play at all today. I thought there was a pretty good chance he'd come off the bench, but to actually start him, I was slightly surprised. Obviously, how well Joe Gomez did with Manchester City at the weekend, but yeah, thank goodness that Jurgen Klopp disagreed with me, because we wouldn't have wanted to miss out really on a performance like that. It was absolutely sensational from him. There was some passes there which I think we've just kind of become used to. It's just a normal thing now for him, but really there's 4 or 5 moments there that are just absolutely out of this world. The pass for the goal, obviously Diaz heads it on, so it's not an assist for him for Sadio Mane, but that's all about him. The pinpoint accuracy of it, the ability to see that. Promising as well that Luis Diaz was on the end of it. I'm sure we'll come on to him, but I thought he was brilliant as well. But yeah, there was one about 4 or 5 minutes after that as well from Trent, where he plays in, I think, Mohamed Salah on that side. Absolutely sensational from him. So yeah, we shouldn't be surprised by it, but equally we have to talk about it. We have to mention these things, because I know he does it every single week when he's fit, but it really is not normal how good he is. He's just one of those absolutely world-class players, and I think on the biggest stage tonight, a lot of people would have watched him and seen the attacking stuff. I think defensively was pretty perfect as well, getting himself into good positions. So yeah, and another exceptional performer. And yeah, I think he's going to be massive actually against City at the weekend for a variety of reasons that I'm sure we'll speak through in the rest of this week in the build up to that one. But if Trent plays like that on Sunday, Liverpool have got half a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to move on to it, because Liverpool did eventually get their third goal, but do you reckon they'll regret maybe not getting one towards the end of the first half? I know Vlachodimos in goal was a very busy boy and he made a few big saves, but they really were pushing for that third, Matt, and didn't quite get it, did they?
No, if they'd have gone on and got that 3-goal advantage before half time, I think that would have been nothing less than what they deserved, to be honest. I think, yeah, there is a little bit of me in the back of my head thinking if they could have just won that by an extra goal. I know obviously the 2-goal lead is a big one. You wouldn't have thought that Benfica could come to Anfield and do anything. Obviously, we thought that with Inter in the last round, and just about were proven correct with that. But I think if they'd have just got an extra goal, you can really kind of make wholesale changes. Then obviously wholesale for Liverpool now is still strong. It wouldn't be like throwing out a Carabao Cup team or anything. It would still be a very good team, but I think it would have been a real benefit to Liverpool to really kill the tie tonight. I think it's kind of half there. They've certainly got one foot into the semi-finals, but obviously with the 2 games against Manchester City, I think it would have been good to be able to say, well, maybe they don't need to play Trent. Maybe Van Dijk doesn't need to play. Maybe Thiago doesn't need to play. Fabinho even. 1 or 2 of those players now, I think you can rest and you can make a couple of changes, but I don't think you can maybe do sort of 5 or 6 of them as you would have wanted. So yeah, slightly frustrating in that, but at the same time, like we said before, it's a 3-1 win away from home in a Champions League quarter-final. Realistically, most other seasons you'd be absolutely delighted with that.
I mean, credit where credit's due as well. Benfica did come out in the second half, a very changed team, and got a goal pretty early on, Matt, didn't they? Darwin Nunez again, very impressive tonight. Was it poor defending from Liverpool? Was it a lapse of concentration, or were Benfica just good?
Yeah, I think, well, there's no doubt the actual mistake for the goal is a big error, but I think Benfica, you do have to sort of give them credit as well. Like we keep saying, it's a big stage, it's a good team. I know they're not particularly doing well this season in terms of their league. They're a decent way off Porto, but in the Champions League, they've gone to Barcelona and won, which I know it wasn't the same Barcelona as what we've kind of got used to in recent years, but still to go there and have the kind of ability and mentality really to go there and win. I think that certainly shows some good signs. I think they gave Bayern Munich a decent game as well, certainly in one of those group matches against them. So yeah, they are a good team, but Liverpool still should have won by more goals, I think, tonight. So it's a mixture of kind of, yeah, Liverpool have done the job, but it could also have been a lot more comfortable for them as well. So yeah, probably a little bit of mixed emotions, but fundamentally they are going to get through. They're going to get into that semi-final. And if they do that, obviously the success as well around what happens with these 2 Manchester City games will determine the success of this really vital couple of weeks. Really, this is the period in which Liverpool are either going to go on and win the quadruple, or possibly drop out of 1 or 2 of those competitions. They could have made it a little bit easier for themselves, but listen, it's still very much on, and I'm still very, very excited for what might be about to happen.
I mean, you mentioned there Benfica playing very well against Bayern and the prospect of facing them in the semi-final when Benfica played well and lost 5-2 to them, I believe. That doesn't fill me with confidence going into that one. But then we did get the third goal, Matt, through Luis Diaz, who was being hounded all game by the crowd and the players, wasn't he? So happy for him to get that goal. It was a very nicely taken finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really, really good. I expected him to play well, actually. Obviously, the crowd was giving him a bit of stick, and there's a bit of a rivalry, obviously, having played for Porto. But I did think that was going to give him a bit of an advantage, really, in terms of coming into this one, knowing the opposition, being back in familiar territory. I think that was one of those that you kind of expected him to do well. But, it's not quite as easy as that. It's easy to kind of go, he's playing a team that he's played against before and he's unbeaten against and all the rest of it. But to actually turn up and look as in sync as what he did with his teammates, I thought was really impressive. I think he just looked like he was enjoying himself in the first half. Could have maybe gone around the goalkeeper when he tried to chip him in that first half, and obviously in the second half manages to do that and get himself a goal. So yeah, I think it's one of those where we're only just starting to see what Luis Diaz can do, which is the most exciting thing, really, because he was excellent tonight, really, really good. Gets the goal, which could be really important in making it a little bit easier for Liverpool next week. Just generally, I thought was probably the best, really, of the front three that started. I thought Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah did okay. I think they were, both fine in terms of the performances. Certainly Salah a lot better than what he was at the weekend, but the ball just seemed to stick with Luis Diaz a little bit more than the other two, which I think was impressive. And yeah, a hostile atmosphere, but one that he managed to deal really well with. And I think it was interesting as well that he ended up playing on the right hand side as well. We've seen him play left, centre, and right now for Liverpool, which is obviously something that they look for. We didn't see it when he played for Porto, but already we've seen him play in all three of those front three positions. So yeah, all good, all promising, really good performance.
Well, a nice chance for us to rotate across the front three as well, heading into Sunday's game against Man City, Matt. Words can't even describe how massive this is for our season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? It's, I mean, every game is big at the moment, but yeah, it's
an exciting one.
Yeah, I mean, if you offered me a draw, I wouldn't say no. Put it that way. I think it probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. My prediction going into it is I think it will be a draw, to be honest. I don't think either team will want to win it. I think if one team does win it, that will be the team that goes on and wins the league. But if it is a draw, then it'll just remain in the balance. And obviously it's still in City's hands. If that is the case, they would have to drop points. But I don't know. A draw for me wouldn't be the worst thing. I think if you go to the Etihad and get a point, that's never going to be a bad result. So yeah, it's a hard one to judge. I'm sure it's one we're going to preview a lot for the rest of this week. But yeah, there's just so many big games, isn't there? I mean, even after that one, you've still got another one against City. You've got the second leg of this. You've got United and Everton and Tottenham. It's just an exciting time. And Liverpool seemingly in decent form, in decent shape. They can still get better, of course. But yeah, I'd imagine they will do across the course of the next few games.
It's just unbelievably massive. And the painful thing for me is I think we probably do need to go there and win, to be honest, because I can't see City dropping any more points. But Matt and I will be back on Sunday for another live episode of The Debrief after what I believe will pretty much decide who wins the Premier League title. So be sure to keep up to date with our content here on the Blood Red YouTube channel, Liverpool Echo websites and socials, as well as Liverpool.com. All the build-up will be a truly massive weekend for the Reds. But until Sunday evening when Matt and I are back with The Debrief, hopefully talking about a win, it's bye for now.